All week, I've been discussing reasons that you should consider and really think before you sell your house in order to get that equity out and get yourself out of a debt overload. Today, here on Recharging with Champions, I'm going to do the opposite, and I'm going to say 3 things that would maybe lean towards selling your house and pulling out the equity in order to pay off debt. Now, first, go watch 1 and 2 and make those videos, but this is the reasons why it might be a good idea. 1, a second mortgage. If you pull a second mortgage out in order to do the same thing rather than sell your house. So you keep the house, you get a second mortgage to pay off all the debt as like a debt consolidation second. Those interest rates are much higher than today's regular first mortgage interest rates. So that monthly payment is going to be a nice tick higher than what the regular interest rate payment would be on a first mortgage. On top of that, a lot of times they have shorter terms. So most of your second mortgages are not going to have a 30-year term. They're going to have a 10, 15, or 20-year term. Again, creating a bigger payment. So if your goal is to reduce monthly payment, you'll probably reduce some by this option, but maybe not as much as if you pulled the equity out and just paid off all of that debt with the equity in your home. 2 would be a home equity line is a variable interest rate. So that means that the interest rate can change over time. So 1, it's higher because it's a second mortgage. 2, it is going to be variable and the interest rates can change over time, which can make some people nervous. And 3, unless you're really good with your spending and your money, you can really get yourself in a bad position with a home equity line by only paying the minimum payment because they're interest only for the first little bit. So even though that payment is lower at the beginning, you're not making any dents to the actual balance if you pay that minimum payment. So again, unless you're really, really good with your money and you just every single month pay extra towards that home equity line, that lower monthly payment could actually put you in a kind of a gross position because now you've got this loan you've been paying on for 8 years and you've not made 1 dent towards the principal balance. Last, doing a refinance of the home. So you've got your first mortgage, and to pay off debt, you're going to do a cash out refinance. So you're going to pay off that first mortgage completely and pull out some extra money to pay off some debts. First of all, that's maxed at 80%. So 80% of the value is the max that you can pull out. So if we have a $100,000 valued home, please find me one of those. Then you could only get $80,000. So you take that $80,000 and then you subtract the current mortgage that you have against it. And whatever is left is what you can play with to pay off debt. And depending on your situation, that may not be enough to even scratch a dent at what you've got going on over in the debt world. And if you happen to get one of those really low interest rates, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, even 5, that payment is going to go up a pretty good amount because of the interest rate change that we're experiencing right now. Now, you might have enough debt that when you pay those things off, it makes sense because you're still saving enough money because of the debt that you're paying off. But you've got to have enough equity, more than if you sell it, right? And you've got to take into account that your interest rate might change and it might be to the worse. So those 3 things would steer you away from refinancing and more towards the selling and then using that equity to pay off that debt and maybe even buy another house. The great thing is you don't have to be a first-time home buyer to utilize things like FHA's 3.5% down or conventional's 5% down. So if you've got a nice little chunk of equity, you can sell your house, take that equity that you made on the house, save 3 to 5% to purchase the new house, and then take the rest of it and throw it towards debt. So even though might be going up in interest rate, because you're paying off so much debt, you've got your 5%, it ends up working out to a much better scenario for you. So of the scenarios, you're going to get the first rate purchase money interest rate, which is going to be the best rate. You're going to be able to get all of the cash out. You're not limited to a certain loan to value. You can pull all the cash out, pay off that first mortgage, get your closing costs paid, and then the rest is yours to pay off or put down payment money on. So you can see how that's going to let you utilize more of the equity. All of these are good ideas and ways to reduce your overall debt load. But I do want to make sure we emphasize putting together a budget and understanding what you can afford, how you're going to move forward, because we don't want to do this over and over again. We want to build generational wealth. Our clients need to build generational wealth so that they can take this lovely nest egg and retire one day and be home mortgage free. How wonderful would that be? Make sure that you sit down and do the coaching sessions that we talked about in the earlier episodes. Go check them out. It's just the 2 episodes before this one. Look and make sure it makes sense for your client. And if it does, selling might be the best way. Give them good guidance and go be an amazing agent and lender for them. We'll see you next time.